You're a bimbo. I'm playing the bimbo build? Is that what you're telling me? This is bimbo build? Where what? Like, I get to hang back and cast spells and only need to use my weapon if I absolutely need to?
So there's been some gaming discourse over the best possible way to play Elden Ring. Some players believe that the game is best experienced by utilizing just about every resource that FromSoft included in this game. Top tier weapons, spirit summons, rune farming, and maybe the most controversial tenet of them all, putting points into this particular primary damage statistic. Yeah, I know. On the other hand, there's a group of players that, for the purposes of this video, I will refer to as the dipshits. The dipshits will tell you that along with ignoring all of the resources that I just listed in category A, you're also only allowed to use one damage stat, and that's this one. This is the good boy damage stat. Now, it doesn't take a genius to tell you that you should be playing these games however you want, and there are a million guys on the internet that already told you this like 6 weeks ago. I am here to tell you that not only do I approve of spirit summoning and magic and whatever else, but I have scientifically proven that Elden Ring is more fun to play with a full tool belt. And I did it by beating every single boss in the game that I'm aware of with a strength build, no shield, no summons, and no ranged attacks. The results of this experiment have convinced me of two statements that I will now say out loud on the internet to piss people off. Number 1, spirit summons are intended play and not an easy mode. And number 2, strength builds are easier to play than magic builds. And I know that that second statement is way more inflammatory than the first one, so I'm gonna address it later, so you gotta watch the whole video. Now do a text transition. So in the words of Harry H. Bomber Guy Brewis, these games are simple. You dodge the attacks and you hit them with the stick. And if you've played a lot of FromSoft games, you would probably agree with that. But if the only Souls game that you've actually played is Elden Ring, then you might be thinking like, hey man, I'm doing a lot of dodging and not a whole lot of hits. Like, think about the first couple of bosses you'd be facing. Realistically, opponent number 1 is either gonna be this guy or this guy. And already, if you haven't played any Souls games, it's not looking good for you. We got aggressive, poise-demolishing attacks that can chase and punish apprehensive players. We got combos and projectiles and hard delays on attacks that can in themselves be gap closers. And these bosses are meant to be fought before your first big windfall of souls, so if you aren't pumping vitality, you're gonna be here for a while. If you're still getting the hang of the game, you're gonna be here for a while. My first fight in this game as a Souls vet was Leonine, and I got my ass fucking smacked. I know many of you had a similar ass experience with Margit, and I bet a lot of why this happened is because we went into these fights with little to no resources. Early fights in previous Souls games wouldn't feel like this because a lot of them would slowly swing a giant sword only to reveal an obvious kick me sign on their back for like 90 frames. But bosses in Elden Ring never stop swinging. Some of them can even read your inputs to make sure you can't even heal, let alone swing back. But once you summon the jellyfish, it's like, holy fuck, I can breathe again. This is the resource I was missing. The relentless, never-ending string of combos feels a lot easier to deal with when half of them are aimed at not you. And once I started summoning for these fights, they started feeling more and more like early game bosses, and I think this is likely the learning curve that was more intended. Rather than starting a brand new game by fighting a roided up Gascoigne wolf form on a slower character with like 2 or 3 blood vials, now it feels like the game starts with something akin to a single form Abyss Watchers fight. Still a small challenge that will encourage the players to explore and learn to dodge and punish correctly, but not a barrage of attacks with barely any fucking time between them to play the game. These fights are still fun as hell to play solo though, and for experienced players, I may even suggest you try it out without the summons and see if you're up to the challenge. That's what I did with a lot of the early game bosses in my first playthrough, and I had a lot of fun with it. But as the game goes on and the temptation to summon starts to pull on you, my advice would be to give in and summon without any guilt, because the philosophy of relentlessness that we saw in these early game bosses definitely carries over into late game bosses with even more of a challenge factor. Godfrey and Hoaraloo, Malekith, Millennia. These are all really cool bosses to fight solo in their own way, but dude, they never stop fucking attacking. And when you summon for these fights, it almost feels like intended play becomes more obvious to you. Like Form 2 of Millennia is a great example of this. Playing this fight solo is a lot of rolling and rolling and rolling and waiting for her to finish a fucking combo, and some of these moves are pretty tough to get the hang of. We got this ghostly attack, the fast hip-fiery swings paired with super delayed minimal tel attacks, and they can all chain into either her evasion roll or another attack. So sometimes you'll dodge like 3 little combos in a row, and right when she's about to recover, she'll jump in the air and start the whole process over again. Or you will actually get a hit off and she'll cancel the stagger into a spin kick, or God forbid she'll pull out a fucking waterfowl dance. intelligence. And in these moments, I wonder if I'm missing something. It seems like a lot of work to get off 2 or 3 hits, even though I'm killing it on the dodge timings. But then I realized that I am missing something. And now that I got my boy out, this fight starts making more sense. When I dodge and take aggro, my summon can start shaving off her health bar, and when it's taking aggro, I can start finally laying into her and looking for a stance break. I think that spirit summons are also a good explanation for her lifesteal mechanic. It always felt redundant fighting her solo because I was already being punished for missing the roll, like now she's got a heal on top of that. But playing with a summon, it's like this cool new meta game where I'm desperately trying to take aggro away and nail the roll timing so she won't heal off of my summon. A lot of Millennia's annoyances get relieved when you approach it in this way, and I would recommend this playstyle to pretty much anybody, and that recommendation extends to just about any boss that you as a player feel inclined to summon for. And put up a text transition like, strength, Yes, I am claiming that using that build is difficult. Unironically. You need 60 intelligence to cast this spell, which means you also need to create a magic-based build that can actually acquire the souls necessary to buy 60 points worth of intelligence. Now for a sorcery build to work, generally speaking, we're gonna need a little bit of each of the following stats. Vitality, endurance, usually, mind, dexterity, and of course intelligence. Some of these can be worked around with talismans and other gear, but it kind of has its own set of downsides, so I want to leave it out for simplicity's sake. You're also most likely going to be picking between 3 basic damage plans: Moonveil, Carrion Slicer, or like Rock Sling and Pebble and shit. Now because of cast speed and spell cost, you're either going to need dexterity or mind or both to make any of these strategies actually work, on top of the intelligence that we're already trying to invest in for raw damage. This is going to take up a lot of souls, which in turn will make your red bar and your green bar much shorter than Chad's over here. See, Chad found a big stick, and all he needed to do to make that work was to put in just enough stats to two-hand it. On the most popular early game stick, that's like fucking 20-something strength and I think 12 dexterity, I think. And now he can put the rest of his money into tankiness and poise and probably just beat the game from here. Vitality is easily the most important stat if you're trying to actually win, and Chad can realistically get up to 70 or 80 something by the end of the game if he wants to. Because even if he wanted a bigger stick or a second stick, all he needs to do is level strength and maybe a little bit of endurance, and now he's got it and he can go right back to leveling health. He's got 3 stats to worry about in his whole life. You got 5. Because of this, leveling up as a magic user feels more like a checklist than an upgrade. Like you really want the 60 int, but then you realize that before you start buying it, you really need to invest in mind, otherwise you're gonna run out of gas halfway through every boss fight. You know, or you could always fucking allocate 70% of your flasks into blue and get your ass beat for having no access to healing. That's another big advantage that Chad has. He's got enough red Gatorade for the entire football team, and he's got a big sturdy health bar to complement it. How does this motherfucker even die? People say this build is hard, but like, you'd have to whiff 3 rolls in a row to be in any real danger here. Meanwhile, for you, if you mistime 1 grab attack as a sorcerer, you're fucking out of here. And when you finally finish the build, you would think that it would be worth the wait, but no, not really, because what if the boss just takes 2 steps to the right? Now you gotta fight him for real, and Chad beats us here again. Big fucking swings that will chunk the boss hard and build up that invisible stance meter to open up opportunities for big damage and heals. Remember, this is Elden Ring, not Dark Souls, so bosses never stop attacking. Chad can just poise through all of it and knock them down to stop the onslaught. But unless you as a sorcerer invested enough stats into category number 6 for the Moonlight Greatsword, chances are you're gonna be doing a lot of fucking rolling. Thankfully, there is a nice handful of bosses that will just hang out in the hitbox of this thing, but a lot of them have second forms that won't. And in these moments, I just kind of wish I had a big hammer and a big health bar so I could actually play aggressively and have fun. I don't want to just roll around and poke like a little bitch. That shit is honestly really hard to do. So when I see people go online and make fun of magic users because the game is apparently so much easier for them, it makes me feel like that person is projecting their own insecurities about their skills, and they don't realize that they're ultimately playing at a similar level of difficulty. And this elitism and posturing leads people to say shit like summons are cheating, because to them this whole game is just a dick measuring contest, and they want to jerk off online about how they beat the game at soul level 1 with no hands. Do you think these people are having more fun fun with the game than the guy who just plays it naturally? Because I bet when the no summon, no magic guy dies to Millennia, he probably takes it personally. Like, this guy is breaking his controller, he probably feels like he failed on his noble gaming quest or whatever. But when a so-called casual cheater dies to Millennia, they probably just summon the Mimic and bleed her out in 30 seconds and go fuck this guy's mom.
I want to show you something real quick. I want to show you something amazing before I go to the next game. I just want to show you how badass some people can be. This is what it is to be a gamer. I just want you to know what it looks like. I'm not showing their name, but you sucks. I'm worse than DPS gaming. They're not wrong. I do suck. They're right.